Welcome back. We're fresh out of camp. I started in service today as we record. So yesterday, as you're seeing this, and Israel, you have started now. So are you ready for school? But we are the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. Joining me is my man, Israel Troop. We are in school mode now. This is going to be a fun. We're in camp mode all around our teams. Georgia started camp on Monday, the 31st. Lots of storylines. I did a brief solo episode last week, just kind of outlining some stories and kind of just giving you some topics that Israel, you and I are going to talk about. But first of all, man, how's the Ware County Gators? I know you. I saw you posted a picture of you and your kids, and people are thinking you're a Florida fan now. That was pretty funny.
It's amazing, now, I knew this already, that our fans are, can be a little bit on the crazy side. But if you look at the picture, which is on Twitter, there's a picture of my little boy, my little girl.
It's X.
Yeah. They have, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Follow us on X. Right. But they have, Gator apparel on, but it is the school that I coach for, the Ware County Gators. And it didn't go well with a couple of Georgia fans who I politely posted a picture of me in my coaching attire with my kids, one being the state championship game. And it also proved that people don't either, one, know who I am, or can read for that matter. Because if you just look at my profile, it says proud UGA grad football player. And why would I even remotely cheer for the Gators at any point in my life? And the fact that I said they're ready for Friday nights. I don't think any of the SEC teams play on Friday.
No, that's reserved for the ACC.
So there's that, so, it was fun, appreciate all the Georgia fans getting onto those guys, for that. But guys, we got to do better. If you just look at, we're green and white, not blue and orange.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I read that and I was like, really? Like, first of all, it's the wrong colors to be Florida. Second of all, he said Friday nights. Third of all, he's posting pictures of him wearing coaching attire with a scoreboard in the background that says Ware County Gators. Welcome to whatever it says.
Context clues.
Yeah. They need to go back to English class and learn about context clues. That's for sure. They need to take your English class. What are you teaching these days?
I'm back in English, man. I'm a co-teacher for English this year. I got some new babies. I got some 11th grade babies this year. So
there you go.
I'm going to get the rap with Coach Troop on the first day of school next week. It's going to be fun.
It'll be fun for you. Probably not for them, but that's okay. Little English 3. What's your specialty in English? What like with you and your co-teacher, like your co-teacher's like, Israel, this is your specialty in my classroom. Like you're going to take this part of English class over. What is that part?
To make sure that they're quiet and they do their work.
Easy enough.
That's my job. I'm the authority in the classroom. Obviously, I help them, with assignments and things like that, but it's more so to make sure that they aren't a distraction to the regular ed teacher in the classroom. Gotcha. And I'm okay with that.
Hey, that's a role that everybody has to have. So, but as we dig deeper, we are presented by Betonline.ag. They continue to be your number one source for all your sports betting needs. MLB, NHL, NFL's coming up, the Hall of Fame game. I'm sure there's some odds on that. You have upcoming, you have UFC, any sport that you want, any sport imaginable, any odds imaginable. You can bet futures, live betting. There's prop bets. There's all kind of things you can do at betonline.ag. They even have an online casino. So all you have to do is go to the website or use your mobile device. I'm pretty sure they have an app. Go to betonline.ag, enter the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV. It's spelled right underneath me there, to get your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So when you open your account and you go to make your deposit, type in that promo code BELIEVE, and it will give you a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So head to BetOnline now. Do it, and you won't regret it. BetOnline.ag, it's where the game starts. So, man, like I think one of the draws that we have on this show, Israel, is that you and I are high school coaches, right? and we kind of see the game from a different angle. Like there's all kind of Georgia podcasts out there, and I don't like there's former players that have podcasts like Aaron Murray and guys like that, and they see it from that perspective. You also have that perspective. You caught a few passes from Aaron Murray actually, and you. So that perspective plus the coaching experience that you and I have and the recruiting office experience that I have, just for our new listeners, our new audience here, just trying to give you an idea, just trying to give them an idea of kind of what we bring to the table, why this show should be your go-to Georgia show, because, we offer our Friday night flair. We offer your experiences, my experiences, and we just kind of bring that perspective, man. And this is going to be a heavily positive show too. So if you're looking for a show like Mike and the Mad Dog, where we're screaming at each other, or like Skip and Shannon used to do before they broke up, like you and I aren't going to scream at each other. We're like, if you want a good, positive Georgia show from a high school coach's perspective and with a former player, this is the show for you. And I think that's important to note, because there's a lot of people out there that maybe say, okay, we're not in the big leagues just quite yet. Believe is trying to make that happen. I think being high school coaches, that kind of validates what we do. And I think that makes our perspective unique, because you don't see a whole lot of that in this podcast community.
Absolutely. Because a lot of the podcasts, especially sports wise, there's guys who, and that's not knocking anybody when I say this by any means, but just guys who just read headlines. They watch the ticker, or they, read a blog or anything like that. That's where they get their information from. And that's totally fine. We kind of do the same thing because we piggyback off each other. But for us, it's more of a perspective from me, from a player, and both of us from the coaching side of it. Why decisions are made. Why, this article said this, but why this is happening. So it's just, we're very positive, very Georgia driven for sure. But we're not naive to the fact that sometimes, the ball doesn't fall on Georgia's side. So, these last 2 years, we've been really, really good. That's not just the blogs, not just you and I talking, just because the culture and the team that Kirby's built, since he's been there. We're back-to-back national champions, as my shirt says. So having that perspective from myself and from you, from the coaching side, Aaron Murray, they do their thing, from the player side. And I also saw that some of the players have a podcast too, talking about their experiences, so having that, is huge. From the fact that we're just not reading a blog. Hey, I saw this on ESPN, so this is what I'm going to talk about. It's like, hey, I saw this on ESPN. Now we're going to analyze it, and we're going to see what is the thinking process from the coaching side of it, as to why this decision was made.
Yeah, and you played, and a very valuable piece of information and perspective that you have is that you have played for Coach Bobo, and so like you can kind of almost dive into his mind, and like when you watch a game, and you're like, okay, I get why he called that play in that situation, because there's a hat that I own. I'm going to wear it one of these days. There's a hat that I own that says "Run the damn ball." And you know why that hat was given to me? It was given to me as a gift. It was given to me as a birthday gift last year, a friend of mine, because one of the things you hear from Georgia fans, if you sit in the crowd, and Mike Bobo is, "Run damn ball, Bobo." It's almost like it's one syllable. "Run damn ball, Bobo." And so I got a hat that says "Run the damn ball." So, but I think it's important to note, before we really kind of get going, it's important to note to kick off every season to just refresh our perspective and just kind of give the audience a reason why, hey, this podcast is unique. It's not just two dummies up there hounded on about Georgia football. Hey, Georgia Bulldogs, man, yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah, ESPN said we're ranked number one.
Paul Feinbaum show.
Yeah.
Hey, I read that so and so did this, and he got hit by a truck, but he can still tote that rock though. Yeah.
Hey, I hate the roll tide, Paul. Roll tide. Paul, first time, long time, Paul. First time, long time. Gotta love those, man. Or like the sports talk guys that just Yeah. Or like the local sports talk guys that they just regurgitate headlines and take it. I call it dummy fishing.
Oh yeah.
And they do, they're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
They're good at dummy fishing. If it was a sport, did
I just read this in the headline somewhere? Oh, I did.
Okay. So we're going to get 1 million callers. We're going to fill up a 2-hour block with just callers on this one topic. We're just going to go. We're going to go dummy fishing. I love it, man. It's great, but it doesn't work for this format, obviously, because we don't take callers. But if you want to like and follow the show, anywhere you see down below us, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I got to get the updated logo for Twitter, Instagram, X. Facebook. It's now X. Yeah, it's now X. So anywhere you want to find us, anywhere you find your podcast, you can find us. It's at 1 million different places. There's some streaming services that carry Believe Podcast. I don't know if our particular one is on there much. It probably will be during football season, but we're on Sirius XM. We're going to be a bunch of different places. I got a phone call tomorrow with Cam Rogers about some ad stuff. So I'll update you guys on that, and I'll update you, Israel, on that as well. So, but you ready to get some topics?
Let's do it.
Well, the easy one is always the quarterback room, right? How excited. Now, we just got done saying, I read this headline, but I've been reading about Carson Beck and how comfortable he's getting with the offense. Now, here's where I'm going to take this. From the last snap of G-Day, from his last snap of G-Day until this point, what does the training process look like for the quarterback? Like, why is there so much more confidence and so much more comfort within the system? Like, what is he allowed to do? Is he taking command of this on his own, where he's got a script and he's running guys through 7-on-7 drills and routes on air and things like that? What's going on there?
Oh, yeah. When we would do things during the summer, because obviously the coaches aren't there, kind of police everything, but we always had a script every day. So whether it was Matt, Joe, or Aaron, they would come out, they always had a script of plays that we would go through. And the best thing that I can say about Carson is the fact that he's been given the keys to this Cadillac, so, with that comes, not really pressure, but just a lot of expectation. We're coming back off of 2 national championships with a very proven quarterback in Stetson Bennett, so it's your job now to keep it going. Georgia's always had a staple, really good quarterbacks to come out, so we got a new coordinator coming in. The offense isn't going to change. It's just going to add his little bit of flair to it. So now it's just Beck just getting comfortable, and I'm pretty sure, during this time, during the summer, getting comfortable with your receivers, getting comfortable with the calls, you kind of make your checks here and there whenever they got together during the summer, which I assume because I did kind of what we did, and just being back there and just understand that you're the guy. All right. So what comes with that? All right. You're responsible for getting everybody set. You're responsible for knowing the call, the audibles, the checks, everything like that. So you got to be a student of the game. And, him coming in, he was a highly touted guy. Some people thought that he may push, to be a starter a little bit sooner, but, now it's his time, so what has he done? Well, he is taking this time to learn, get on Coach Bobo's good side, because he had a couple of little flare-ups here and there, throughout his years at Georgia. I mean, he's a kid, so things like that happen, so, but as the starting quarterback at Georgia, you kind of hold yourself to a different standard. And now that, he's the guy, I mean, he's comfortable. So now he just knows that, hey, this is my time to shine. I can't mess this up. So it kind of lights a fire under some guys, so everybody, everybody's kind of had, well, I don't know this, I don't know that. So, I believe that he's like, well, I'm going to shut y'all up. I'm going to go out here and throw dots. I'm going to go out here and run this offense. We're going to have fun doing it, and we're trying to three-peat. It's really, really simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he had great command of the offense watching him in G-Day. And I watched a little bit. They reran the G-Day game the other day on ESPNU. And so I rewatched a little bit of that for I guess probably 15 minutes or so, and saw Carson Beck. It just happened to be on that one drive where he just zipped right on down the field. I think it was like a 6-play drive where he just boop, 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 and was down the field and We scored. So, I think I'm excited about Carson Beck, and he deserves this shot. I think he's going to get this shot. And I've always maintained that for him, I think we will know for sure if he's the guy week 3 against South Carolina. Now he's going to look sharp against Ball State and UT Martin. Like that's just going to happen. Right. But it's going to come down to, okay, South Carolina is pretty good now. Okay, they're not the same donkey South Carolina team that we've played the last 2 years. Rattler has shown that he can actually be a quarterback, which I didn't believe that. I still don't really believe that he can be that consistently, but he's shown that he can be a quarterback. Coach Beamer is recruiting lights out over there for their standards. I mean, he's got a squad over there. That defense is pretty athletic, pretty physical. They can give you some troubles. I mean, luckily for the Dogs, they get South Carolina at home. But for Carson Beck, I mean, you go into, I mean, you have the luxury of having 2 tune-up games where you can kind of get some kinks out. But that's no slouch opponent early in the season when you're still trying to ultimately get used to your receivers, who a lot of them outside of Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers are trying to get used to playing in larger roles. You get an opponent like that early. Does that put a lot of pressure on the quarterback to kind of outperform some of the nervousness and some of the things that are going to happen where you have a lot of expectations for a three-peat and you have a tough opponent coming that early?
No. Well, it depends on how much do you put the pressure on yourself. During the summertime, you're building the chemistry with your guys, so outside of, Brock and Ladd, you got Rosemary Jackson, you got Meeks, and a plethora of guys that, have come in who have proven themselves, they can come in and contribute, so now it's just going out here and performing, so you got 2 formidable opponents that you're going against, there's no pressure going into the South Carolina game either, it's just, they're going to be a little bit better. But does that add a little bit more pressure? Absolutely not. If you understand the game plan, you execute the game plan, you just go out there and play ball, I think you'll be fine. Having this game at home, against South Carolina is really, really huge. I think going on the road would add just a little bit more pressure because South Carolina is a very, very tough place to play, one of the most hated places I've ever been in my whole entire life. And I'm so glad I don't have to go back over there.
I think you and Chad Gore agreed on that, except he said he liked the techno music.
I'd hate it. I'd hate Sandstorm. I hate white towels. I hate chickens. I hate the whole deal. It was always hot. They didn't turn on the air conditioning locker room one year. It was awful. But other than that, I mean, it's just another game. That's how you have to approach it. All right, it's just another game. Let's make sure I understand the game plan. Just go out there and execute. If you just go out there and execute, and then we talk about it all the time, do your 9%. You got 11 guys out there. Do you do your job? Especially from the quarterback position, everybody else to do their job. It's real simple as a quarterback position. So
we're continuing about quarterbacks, man. And I'm excited about Carson Beck. I think he's going to ball out personally. I think he's got all the skills. He's refined. He's learned a lot of competitiveness again with Stetson Bennett in front of him. He's kind of learned the ropes now, and it's finally his turn, and I'm excited for him that he stuck it out. But the real battle is not for QB1. It's the backup job. Who wins the backup job? I've got my money on Gunnar still. I'm still a big believer in Gunnar Stockton. I think he'll ultimately win the backup quarterback job. And I think it'll extend into past week 2. Like, I don't think we're going to have a clear backup until we go into that third week, because you need something, God forbid something happened to Carson Beck. You need to have that clearly defined backup. But who do you think it's going to be?
If I had to put money on it today, if they were playing tomorrow, I'd say it was Gunnar. He just has that it factor about him. Going down there and playing the scout team quarterback, kind of going the route that Stetson did. Go down there and play some scout team, get your reps in, and things like that, puts him ahead of Vandegrift, right now. Going into camp is going to decide, everything right now. Because one thing about it, like I said, I was up there for a couple of practices for spring. They're all getting equal reps. Well, now it's camp. So that number one guy is going to get majority of the reps now. So when those twos get in, because there's no 2 or 3 right now, when the twos get in, you're going to have to separate yourself from the other one. It's always going to be who can, move the ball efficiently, who doesn't make mistakes, who can get people lined up, who can basically execute this offense. They also get some 1 reps as well, with the ones, but, going into it, you have to prepare yourself like you're the number one guy. That's what it's going to boil down to. Which guy prepares himself as if that they are the number one guy. And that's really what's going to separate them here during camp.
And I'm going to piggyback on that. I think all of that matters. But I think the thing that matters the most, and I think the thing that Coach Bobo is going to look at moving forward because of the skill set, I think a guy like Gunnar Stockton is extremely valuable because what he can provide in the run game. Now, we haven't really seen that because the reps that we've seen of the quarterbacks are non-live reps. Mm-hmm. So we don't see the quarterback run game just yet. But we know what Gunnar Stockton brings in that regard. Now, Vandegrift can run if needed, but that's not really his game. Gunnar is a true dual threat guy. And I think that's going to serve him really, really well because you have concepts that you can put guys in jet sweep and run quarterback power. We call it bash. They have power read stuff, jet read stuff that you can do with a quarterback. You have quarterback sweeps, some things that Stetson did in the run game. I think you can amplify that a little bit with Gunnar because Gunnar is a little bit bigger of a body, a little bit more sturdy of a runner than Stetson was. Stetson was somebody that could get to the edge real quick and real suddenly, and that's where he was strong. So quarterback jets and things like that. But I think Gunnar can run inside. From the quarterback position. I think that's going to make a huge difference in this race. And I think that might be one of the things that as an offensive coordinator, I say, okay, so I got this guy that can do, it's always who can do the most to help this team. Like who can attack you a bunch of different ways. And I think it's Gunnar Stockton.
And you look at, what got Stetson the starting job, was the fact that he could move the pocket, the fact that he could, extend plays with his legs, the fact that he can run zone read and keep the ball, not look like a statue in the pocket, So all those things kind of go into, all right, what is our identity? We're going to run the ball, we're going to RPO, we're going to throw screens, we're going to formation you to death. All right, well, what is the X factor in this? What can the quarterback do? So I think, at the end of the day, that's pretty much what's going to separate those guys is, all right, what's the X factor? What else do you bring to this package that we already have, that makes you an asset to, win this job, whether it's the starting job, the backup, third string, whatever it is, what is your X factor? What can you bring to this table that makes us a little bit better?
Yeah. And right now my money's on Gunnar in that regard. So, but before we exit out here, we're going to just go ahead and make this an offensive show here. 3 of our starting offensive linemen are on the Outland Trophy Watch List. Ratledge, Van Pran, and Mims.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
And it was a position that it wasn't a weakness. It wasn't a weakness, but it also wasn't really listed as one of our main strengths either. It was just kind of one of those, it was just solid position. Yeah. But now it's turned into something, and I think it has a lot to do with Tate Ratledge more so than because we know Van Pran is an elite center. We know Amarius Mims is an elite tackle. But I think the thing that tipped the scales in favor of this Georgia offensive line being good to elite is Tate Ratledge, and he's back full strength at the guard position.
I don't know if anybody's seen our offensive line up front, in person, but I have. You did. They are ginormous. Okay. Shout out to Coach Sinclair. I don't know what they're doing, what they're feeding these guys, but they are huge. All right. You got Mims standing about 6'7", 6'8". I mean, across the board, we're 6'3" or taller. 300 pounds, and can move. You know what I mean?
Lean too, right?
Yes. There's no body fat. Like Mims right now looks like just a bigger version of LeBron James. He's just an offensive lineman. He's huge and athletic. I mean, having those guys up front like that, when you go back to those years of, when Alabama was just beating the hell out of people, what they have, very athletic offensive linemen that were big, they were mean, and they hated the people across from them, and that's what you want. You got one of the best offensive line coaches in Coach Searles, and he's going to obviously demand the best out of those guys. And, you got 3 guys that are, on the watch list. I mean, that is unheard of, to have 3 guys that could win this one trophy, and it could be coming back to Georgia. You know what I mean? So bringing Tate back into the fold is huge, so that not only do you bring experience, but you're bringing that group back together. Mims is going to have a great year. We also know what Van Pran's Van Pran. Having a center, he goes into the Bubba Velasco and Ben Jones type era of centers that we've had, that are great, solid guys that can get the job done. So having that guy that commands the offensive line, is absolutely huge. So, not only do you have a huge offensive line, but that experience that they bring, I mean, it's phenomenal to, once again, three-peat.
Yeah. And it can't ever be understated the depth that there is with this Georgia offensive line. Now, just going on that same token, being an offensive coordinator, you've got an experienced line. Are you going to go more heavily gap scheme? Are we running duo here? Are we running a heavy dose of inside outside zone? Like what you have this Georgia offensive line and Kirby has come to you and said, hey, I want a kick-ass run game. What is your top 2? What is your 2 mainstay runs?
Well, just going off of what we did last year, inside zone, outside zone was our staple. It could be 3rd and 12, and that outside zone's coming to hit you right in the face. We had really good offensive linemen, who were athletic, and they just they hated people. Once those lights cut on Friday night, they hated anything that was moving on the other side of the ball. So now it just goes back to, all right, what did we do last year? All right, we're athletic. We can get to the edge. Can we pull? Our guards athletic, which they are, but do we really want to run gap scheme a lot? Do we want Brock Byers blocking a defensive end or an outside linebacker coming in, or do we like zone? We're a zone team right now. We're a zone team. Like you said, duo, where you're reading linebackers and things like that for RPOs. That's kind of where we are. When I was there, when we were at Georgia during the time when Bubba was there, we were more of a power team. We really didn't run, zone. We ran more stretch, which is a total different play than anything else. But, now we're getting into zone, the RPOs and things like that. So it's just to the point now, what can we do up front, that our guys are comfortable with, at any time. If it's 3rd and 2, what can I call right now? Is it zone?
Probably
is it outside zone?
Yeah, I'm calling duo because, yeah. I think you're exactly right, and I think that's exactly what I would do. And not trying to guess what Georgia's going to be strong at, just trying to guess. I'm trying to get what would Israel Troop do as offensive coordinator, and I think you just answered that. But
absolutely,
I'm running duo.
I want Mims to put his face on that guy. That's what I want. I want him to be destroyed at the end of this play. Mm-hmm. I want the 2 yards. We got backs that can do it. We got backs that can go in there and they can fit it up. We're gonna get 2 yards out of Dejan. And this is what it's gonna be. It's 3rd and 2. It's coming right at your face. Stop it.
Yeah, yeah.
And as an offensive lineman, that's what they want. And it's like, hey, what do you want to call here? Well, coach, I want to go knock the hell out of this guy in front of me. All right, here it is.
Here it is. Duo. Let's create as many double teams as we can. And we'll let Branson Robinson run over a linebacker. And what the beautiful thing is about duo is that if you attach RPOs to duo, it allows you to get into a 7-man protection without having to learn a 7-man protection. You just run duo and then throw quick game off of it. Hitches, slants, slant bubbles,
screens.
screens, go outs, or bench routes or whatever you call. Well, I don't know what you call that, but we call it a bench route. Things like that. I mean, it's a lot of things you can do. A snag, like if you want to do a boundary snag, is always good.
Big snag guy, big snag team. Ran that a lot, especially in state championship game. Where we're just running outside backer. He's got one read.
Yeah, and so duo is a great protection for that. So, and we have the offensive lineman to do it. And I'm very, very, very excited about this group. So here's what we're going to do. There's plenty of camp coverage that's going to happen. There's plenty of things we can talk about with this Georgia team. We're going to try to illustrate every single position group. We didn't get to all the offensive groups. Brock Bowers needs no explanation. He's an alien. He's not from this planet. But we'll talk about the receiving threats next week.
What's this, day 2? They reported Sunday.
They reported Sunday. I think they had their first practice yesterday. And then now they're on day 2. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, so they should be in pads in the morning.
Yeah.
So yesterday was probably shells. So tomorrow would be pads.
Yes. Unless today was, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. First day is usually drills is kind of more so like a walkthrough, do a lot of special teams and things like that, kind of getting them ready. They go in, eat, meet, have all that fun stuff in the morning. A lot of clanging and banging.
Yep, exactly. So we're going to talk about the receiving threats. Yeah. I love it, man. We're going to talk about practice structure too, camp practice structure. I can't wait to dive into that as we go along, kind of what the goals are, how practice is structured usually. We'll get into all of that because I know when we go first day of full pads, I'm going to get you to tell me some first day of camp full pad stories from each of your years there. That'll be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about the receiving threats on our upcoming episodes. What besides Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers is Georgia going to throw at you? Defensively, Michael Williams in the front and a star-studded lineup in the back end with Kamari Lassiter leading the charge, Javon Bullard and Malachi Starks also. And your boy Nyland Green. We still got stock in him.
My man Nyland Green, baby. So you love it.
But before we go, shout out to Stetson Bennett, who's absolutely killing it in Rams camp. And shouts out to all of our NFL dogs that are absolutely killing it in their camps. I don't know if we have any other dogs on any other teams except for the Eagles. So shout out to the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Son Michelle in his retirement, him and AJ are two guys right now that I don't know off the top of my head that have retired, and hope you guys have a happy retirement. Saw AJ on the golf course for his birthday, so happy birthday to my guy AJ, and Sonny. Hey man, enjoy this time, man. It's sometimes hard to walk away, but I'm glad that you know when to walk away. So congratulations to you on a great career. What is 2-time Super Bowl champion, ain't it? 2-time
Super Bowl champion with 2 teams, Rams and Patriots. First round pick, accomplished a good bit in a short amount of time. So hats off to Sony for a really good NFL career. Running backs don't last long.
No, they don't. And I hope that this whole thing works out so they can get paid like that, like they should. And, to all those guys that, the Hellcats and the Trackhawks guys, please slow down. We don't need any more negative things. I was on TikTok the other day, and there's this guy in Georgia. He absolutely despises us. I wish I could remember Rico. His name's Rico something other, talking about how, Georgia's tried to cover up things and blah, blah, blah. We don't do that. We wouldn't have the recruiting, aspect and parents come in and send their kids to UGA if that was the problem. So guys, just be mindful of what you're doing. Slow down, number one, because that's one thing that everybody wants to talk about. But at the same time, you was talking earlier, if you give 17, 18, 19-year-old kid a car that goes really, really fast, what do you think they're going to do?
They're going to give me a car that goes really fast.
Adults. Yeah. What do you do? Why do people buy Trackhawks and Hellcats? Because they want to go really, really fast. So just slow that thing down, guys. From the butts to the dorms ain't that far. Just slow down, please, and stay out of trouble, please.
Yeah.
We don't need any more fun articles about us. And by fun, I mean that in the most sarcastic way possible.
Yeah. And we don't need to also read any stories about players getting badly injured or dying in car wrecks either. So slow it down for your own safety, slow it down for the sake of your own wallet, and slow it down for the sake of all the negative headlines that come from any Georgia player getting a traffic citation. And I will note this. I did camp at Austin Peay. We did football camp with Innsworth at Austin Peay. Guess what happened on a nightly basis? Because their football team was also working out. Guess what happened on a nightly basis? We would be walking back from our night practice. Guess what I would hear every night?
Let me guess. A car revving?
Yes. And going really fast. So it ain't just Georgia players, is my point. But, I mean, that doesn't excuse it by any stretch. But it's not just Georgia players. It is apparently a national epidemic of people wanting to speed excessively.
I can't wait for this Florida Gator documentary to come out whenever it decides to come out. You know,
I'm excited about
let you know that it happens everywhere, but it's just for some reason the people in Athens, Georgia, or Atlanta, Georgia, just love to talk about it a lot more than other places. Mm-hmm. There are things that I never knew that happen at other, universities. And it happens, between that 130-mile radius, mm-hmm. is going to be put on display. So guys, just be mindful of what you're doing. Don't put your coaches and your parents and everybody else in the predicament to where they have to explain themselves. That's not what we want to do here. We're here to win football games, here to get a degree, and to be upstanding citizens. So everybody be smart.
There you go. And we'll end it right there. And I know it's going to be tough for you as a Gator fan to watch that documentary because, you just love the Gators. I know, right? So cute kids, though. But
cute kids, but all right.
What are you doing? It's like, hey, you're cute kids, but what the hell are you doing dressing in Gator apparel? Oh, jeez.
Context clues, guys. Reading is fundamental.
If you are bold enough, here's my thought. If you're bold enough to talk stuff to somebody about liking the Gators, at least know what the damn colors are. Y'all are green and gold, right? And white? Green, gold, and white?
Green, gold, and white, man.
Like, I may not be a color expert. I probably should be teaching digital design now, but green and gold is not really that close to orange and blue. No, that's my theory.
Like colorblind people could even see the difference in those two.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
Reading is fundamental.
I know it killed you to say the swamp, though.
No, that part doesn't. Because the only reason why is because I've always wanted to play in our stadium. Like we have one of the top 5 best stadiums, in the state of Georgia. And I've always wanted to play in it. It just happened to be called the Swamp, which is fine. Things like that. So, we got a nice big state championship sign on that jewel now. So it is looking good. Really, really good. So obviously it is going down in the Swamp.
Hell yeah, dude. Does Coach Strickland do interstate games?
No. Well, the interstate games for us now are kind of iffy. We used to do a lot of stuff for Florida. But they have new rules now. You'll get, like a St. John Bosco, they may come down, but they'll play like Grayson or something. They don't come past, the net line.
I will talk to my head coach and see if we can't get a home and home.
Hey man, if y'all buying, we flying.
With the Ware County Gators. I'll talk to him, see what he thinks. But see if he wants to go down the Swamp. Because I do want to see what game's like down there.
If y'all stroke that check, we'll gladly make that trip. Y'all come on down here. They wouldn't know how to act. They came down here.
No, they'd be in culture shock, dude.
And the first time they see a gnat, they wouldn't know what to do.
No, they wouldn't. They'd be like, oh my God, what's crawling all over me?
Or a mosquito the size of your microphone.
Mm-hmm. That's cussing them out.
it's going.
I think you just froze up there. That was pretty funny. So anyway, before your internet decides to quit, we're gonna jump out of here. But look forward to a bunch of new episodes here coming up as we ramp up towards football season. We're both going to be extremely busy. You get your specialist degree. We both coach, and we're going to try to ramp up our coverage here on the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast. So buckle up. That's all I'm going to say. Just buckle up and enjoy the ride. And find us wherever you find your podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Find us on social media. Find Israel on social media and understand that he does coach for the Gators, but it's not those Gators. It's the Ware County Gators. And if you're in South Georgia, go see a game at the Swamp. If you're in the Greater Tennessee area, come to, I don't even know what the nickname of our place is yet. I haven't been there long enough, but come over to Innsworth. You're more than welcome to come experience a game at Innsworth. And so, but we're going to leave you right there. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you come back, and we will see you back here next time. But until then, as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Do you believe?